Yes, yo. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It is Sunday. It is rainy. It is gray outside. It is feeling like 13 degrees, but we still up in here. And like I teased yesterday on the show, today is a special day because it is the return of a face that we haven't seen in this hot box. It's been about a year.
Has it?
Yes, it has been about a year. I can tell you exactly where it was. It was right before you went to London.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and it was the mother of dragons in the house.
Hello. Nice to be back.
Does it feel familiar?
It does. It does. Feels good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm so glad you're able to join us. I know that you're super busy.
Thank you for the invitation.
Hey, listen, you know, the series that we were running, I told Latoya and Ulrich, you know, I am not a professional. I know nothing about this industry. There's one person I trust to bring in here and talk about it, and she lived down the road. We just have to convince her to get up. So I'm super glad that you're up in here.
Awesome. I'm happy to be back. And happy that you all are covering this topic as well. It's a topic that deserves a lot of attention.
Well, you know, the last 2 weeks, we had Alana and Ajibola. They are with the U of A Black Graduate Students Association. Alana is from Jamaica, Ajibola is from Nigeria. And so they were given that student experience, that student's perspective. Alana, quite interestingly, also was an international student in Siberia, which I was like, cool. Not my first choice of places, but hey, she did her thing. And so it was really cool to kind of get that perspective, especially for me, being I was an international student in 1995.
Yeah.
Things have changed. Yeah. Don't judge me, people. I'm not that old. I was a prodigy student. Prodigy. So, but before we get into it, is anyone want to shout out as we get things rolling this morning?
Yeah, I think I would like to shout out all of my clients who are international students, all of the persons that landed and settled through UpRow, which is my company. It's an app that helps immigrants to get settled in Canada by connecting them to local businesses. And we have helped hundreds of students over the years that we have been in operation. So this is really a topic that I've had a lot of close interaction with, even though me, myself, I have never been an international student. I studied my entire life up to my master's degree in Trinidad and Tobago. Then I migrated. Yeah. But I think that just from the experience of working so closely with international students over the years, I've gained a lot of insight into some of the challenges. So shout out to all of them.
Let me drop one of these. You ever get a hi, mom?
Oh, yeah, and my mom.
Yeah.
Hey, mom.
That's good. We got you there, Mama Nicole. We got you there. Well, you know, as we get things cracking on it, the just to remind folks, because it's been a minute since you've been in here, who is Kelise Williams? And I know you touched on it a little bit, but UpRow.
Yeah, so UpRow is my baby. It's my app. If you go into the app stores and search UpRow, UpRow, you would find it on there, and it connects immigrants with local service providers, trustworthy service providers. You're able to read reviews, some persons who have worked with them, and we have service providers across a very broad spectrum of things that immigrants would need. So from immigration lawyers to settlement service providers who look for apartments for you, to mortgage brokers, language tutors. We have persons learning English and French on our platform, career coaches, recruiters, shopping. So everything from all of your groceries to your clothing, everything a newcomer would need, and especially as well finance, so banking and all of that good stuff, and utility connection, even airport pickup. So we thought about everything, right? All in one place, all verified service providers, all ready for you to do business with.
Awesome. Well, hey, listen, I'm glad you're doing your thing. And you know what? It's an original twist on the whole settlement services.
It is an original twist on the whole settlement service. It's using technology to do what we usually do within communities, all right? So usually within a community, if you're lucky to get connected within your community, let's say you're from the Caribbean, you get connected with someone from the Caribbean, you'd kind of be able to maneuver through that. But when I landed in Canada, unfortunately, I didn't know anyone. Yeah. And it took me months to really get to find out where my community was, right? Yeah. So for persons like that who don't have that natural organic support, that is where UpRow comes in. Yeah. It allows for anybody to tap into that kind of community.
That community. And for international students, to bring it back to the heart of why we're here, I imagine for a lot of international students, that is the reality of moving to any country, especially the great north of Edmonton.
100%. And I think for international students, it's even more important because they're coming here to spend a lot of money, right? So in most cases, they don't have a lot of room for error. So in immigration fraud and just on the whole taking advantage of vulnerable newcomers to Canada is big.
Yeah.
So they don't have room for error to lose a couple $1,000s to a fraudulent service provider.
Yeah.
Right? So they're looking to really make their move efficient and to avoid spending money that they don't have to spend.
Yeah.
So it's really, really important for international students.
Now, how does an international student, like when I came in '95, the options for colleges and universities were not as broad as it is today. There was a lot less scammer institutions out there. So I didn't have to worry too much. Now it's different. What would you say to an international student thinking of coming here to study, to say, how do you cipher
what's real from what isn't? It's difficult. Not even just with picking schools, just even like getting an apartment, right? There's so many scammer apartments. People will take your money and the apartment doesn't even exist, so it's already rented out, or they don't even own the apartment, right? So it's really difficult, especially when you're not used to doing online transactions, which coming from, according to where you're coming from, you may not be equipped with the knowledge of what does an online scam look like. You shouldn't be giving out certain things like your SIN number. You shouldn't be spending money online in these places or giving out this type of information. So newcomers are extremely vulnerable. But when it comes to picking schools, Fortunately, the government of Canada, they have that, all the information that you will need online.
Yeah.
So I would really advise, apart from going on to UpRow and booking a call with an immigration lawyer, someone who could really guide you through, I would also advise doing your own research. So Canada.ca, right? Let's stick to the basics, right?
The tried and true.
Yeah, tried and true.
We know that one.
You know? Like, you have to be willing to put in some elbow grease. If you don't have the money to spend on the professionals, you have to do the extra work of doing your own research. All of the information is there. It's a bit like a jigsaw puzzle, putting things together, but information is there, right? So stick to the basics, Canada.ca.
Okay. And then when they get here, like, do international students tend to have like any kind of recourse to help them if they are running into trouble? Do you know if it's
the resources are very few, right? The reason is that most settlement agencies, like funded through the government or funded through IRCC, they don't consider international students as immigrants.
Oh.
Because they're temporary residents.
I see. But hold on, what's the difference between a temporary resident and an immigrant? Like, you're not Canadian.
A permanent resident is someone who's here permanently.
Yeah, but temporary residents
mean that you're supposed to go back home after you study.
Oh.
Even though that's not the reality, the government has said on many occasions that they are providing means for international students to stay, etc., etc. I would say the majority of international students come to Canada with the hopes of staying.
Yeah.
But within that very fragile interim, while you're international students, you're not considered an immigrant.
I didn't know that.
So, a lot of the supports provided by IRCC through settlement agencies exclude international students.
Oh.
So there is a gap, right? Because you're not an immigrant.
So you're just kind of like in between.
In between, a rock and a hard place, and you're spending a lot of money to be there.
Staying up.
Right, you're spending a lot of money to be there, and you're in between a rock and a hard place. So unfortunately, a lot of the resources that would be provided to a permanent resident or even a refugee, they are not provided to international students. So it's even more of a gap, right? Thankfully, the schools have really stepped up over the past years, especially during COVID, to provide some internal relief.
Yeah.
But in terms of like coming from IRCC or the government, for the most part, they are excluded.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I was an international student, I didn't rely too much on government services because Seneca College, York, and Ryerson had really strong international student associations.
Exactly.
And so literally any question I had,
you go to them.
I was going to, yeah. And they took care of us.
Yeah, the schools have really stepped up. Now, of course, with the cuts in the amount of international students, we're seeing that the schools are struggling a bit, right? So as much as I can't really say how those supports would go, if they're still standing, if they're still holding strong. But in past years, especially during COVID, I saw that these schools had really taken up that extra load of helping their own students, which was good to see.
Yeah, no, it was good. Like we had like special insurance plans. We had all these different things that we could tap into.
That you could tap into, provided through the school.
Now, now you mentioned the cuts, right? What does that do to someone that you've invested all the time to apply? You've been accepted to school. You've put this money aside, and then you hear, oh, sorry, 10 grand isn't enough. You now need to drop that threshold to 20, 25 grand.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking because a lot of persons, of course, we're dealing with an exchange rate, foreign currency. $10,000 is a lot for the average Canadian. The average Canadian don't have $10,000 sitting down their bank account, right? So just imagine if you're in a currency where $10,000 is probably all you make for the entire year, or your life savings.
Yeah.
And you've just saved up that amount of money. You know, you came through hell and high water to get that amount of money, then only to be told, oh, no, let me doubling that, you know, overnight. Heartbreaking, heartbreaking. I would say, though, that the pivot that we've been seeing with international students really just represents the entire climate of immigration over the years. Here today, gone tomorrow. Like streams come, they go, they change, and it's all based on the economic demand of the country, right? So I am a bit twofold on here. I try to stay neutral because we need to look at the economic side. We need to make sure that the country is developing at a rate to allow for international students to have the resources that they need when they get here, like housing and all of these things. We need a stimulated economy. We need jobs.
True that.
Right? We also need
like proper jobs.
Yeah, we also need persons to open businesses. We need persons to sell homes too. Right? So there's a twofold there, because if you look at it, immigrants tend to be the ones opening businesses at a way higher rate than Canadians. Yeah. So they're stimulating the economy, they're bringing their life savings, they're selling their houses back home, they're bringing their education that they already had here. So we need to grow the economy in a way that we can stimulate the economy, but also accommodate new persons as well. Yeah. So even though it is heartbreaking, we just need to do a better job here at growing at a rate that we can involve everybody and to get persons to contribute as well.
Yeah. So like someone gets here, like in terms of when you're settling, you see people coming here, they're fresh off the plane. What are some of the emotions you see from international students when they first get here? How would you describe that?
Bright-eyed. Oh, wow. wow, you know. And that was me as well when I first came to Canada. Wow, you know. That wow quickly fades into fear and panic.
Okay.
Like, oh my God, I really did this. Because it's one thing visiting a country, it's another thing to live here, right? I had visited many countries before coming to Canada, but when I came to Canada, it was like, okay, so this is actually home now, right? Of course, I landed as a permanent resident. But it was still a huge jump. Like, I never had a credit card before moving to Canada. I only used cash and debit transfer.
Well, in the Caribbean for a long time, that wasn't a thing.
Yeah, exactly. When I left the Caribbean 6 years ago, it still was a normal thing to not have a credit card, right? Even though I had a master's degree, I was working a pretty good job at a home, a mortgage, car loan, still no credit card, right? That was just how we operated. So there's a lot of things that are different, right? Renting, for example, you need all of these documents, filing your taxes for the first time. What? Just the sheer amount of paperwork, even like getting child benefit, just the paperwork involved in living in Canada is a full-time job. Yeah. All right, keeping up at all of these things, utilities, connecting all of these things to someone who comes from a society where it's not the norm. To have to do all of this documentation, it can be very much overwhelming. And a lot of documentation needs to be done within the first 48 hours, from opening up a bank account to getting a SIN number, health card. It's a lot. So it does get overwhelming pretty quickly.
And how does a student in these day and age manage that overwhelming influx of just information plus the emotion?
I honestly feel like if in years to come, a study would be done about the correlation between immigration and anxiety.
Okay. Let's get into some of that. Yeah, let's hit that.
I honestly feel like if you talk to the average immigrant, first of all, we all have a story.
Yeah,
it's
true
like
that.
a story of horror and dread.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
We all have a story, and I think that most immigrants would agree that anxiety wasn't even a word in our vocabulary until we migrated. Now we know very well what anxiety feels like and looks like.
That's true.
you
Yeah,
know?
that's true.
So it is anxiety inducing. And there's no other way to describe that. And I think even with the inclusion of technology, at least you know what you're getting into and you have someone to reach out to. But it does very little to suppress those feelings of anxiety.
Yeah.
You know?
And how do you? What advice would you give to someone to say how do you cope with that? How do
You
you?
just have to go through it.
Yeah.
You just have to go through it. After, I think, after a year, for international students, after 2 years, it starts to feel like home.
Yeah.
All right, for a permanent resident landing, give it a year. For international student, give it 2.5 years.
Yeah, I guess depending on the situation. Like for me, I got lucky because my aunts live here.
Ah.
So when I moved, I was living with my aunts and my cousins. So it was like I was around family.
And you were pretty young as well too, right, girl?
Yeah, I was 16.
I think it's I wouldn't say it may be easier when you're younger because you're able to take on that submissive role within a household. But for many international students, they are mature, right? They are used to living alone. They have their own families, and coming to live with family could sound like a blessing, but sometimes it ends up being a curse.
Yeah, depending on the family situation. Yeah, depending on the dynamic.
Right?
Yeah,
It ends up being a curse many times because, coming from somewhere where you make your own rules, you do your own thing, to now living with someone, that could be a whole stress on its own, right? And then many relatives tell you to come and live with them without fully understanding the consequences of having someone live with you.
Yeah.
We say see me and live with me is two different things, right?
True. Yeah.
So I've seen it happen time and time again where your relative would say, come live with me. And then after 2 weeks, it's like,
Give them a house.
you
Come
need
out
to
to my
get
yard.
out of a house because I don't want you to live with me anymore, right? And that in itself is a horror story that many immigrants share, you know? So I think regardless of the situation, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But we all have a story of anxiety-inducing fear.
Fair, yeah.
Yeah.
Does connecting to, say, the community you're from, like, say, for you being from Trinidad, say, connecting with, say, the Caribbean community, does that help to relieve that anxiety in any way?
It does. It does, because you get to speak your own language. You get to talk to people who understand. You get to know the ins and outs. So, for example, we in the Caribbean, we have certain traditions,
Yes.
right? So if I see someone, from the Caribbean and they have a newborn baby, and it's summer and it's hot, right? But they still have this child in like mittens and this and that and the other. I would say, okay, I understand. Because in the Caribbean, we say dew. If the dew gets on the child, and then we believe in there's mildew and there's marjoram and it's all of these things, right? So I would understand why this person is doing this, knowing where we come from and what we believe, right? Someone else would look at that person and be like, oh, that's mad, that's crazy, that something is clearly wrong, right?
Yeah.
So I think that because we come from the same culture, we are more able to communicate with one another and say, well, here, this is how we do things in Canada. And there's a bit of, I'm able to listen to you because I don't feel like you're judging me.
True.
So people are more open to criticism when it comes from someone who understands where they're coming from.
So you can, you have a core basis of that communication. It's
You're
like,
right.
I understand why you do that.
But this is how it's done here.
Yeah.
It might seem crazy to us because Granny said and Auntie said, but here in Canada, this is what they do. Like, girl, this is how they do it here. So let me just do it here. When in Rome, you have to be like the Romans, right? So there's a breakdown of, there's an open communication because you don't feel judged.
True. But there's also a dynamic of judging what's here. So, like, I give you a classic example. We all know about Patty in Jamaica. So it might seem like a small thing, but it's a big thing. It's very, very that dish in Jamaica. But you come here, and it's not the same. But everyone's like, oh, Jamaican patties. And you try one, you're like, half the time you're like, this is a disappointment. And so you find yourself judging, but it's still part of your culture. But then also, like, I have to remember, I'm not in Jamaica right now.
Yeah. And I think we're getting better.
Yeah.
Like I don't know about the Jamaican parties. But
Well, you're Trini, so I mean, I ain't
speak
gonna
for doubles and plori and roti. Oh, that's like the best thing about having newcomers, right? And I hang around newcomers all day. You get that real flavor, fresh off the board flavor, right? So I think that we're getting better. When I first came and came here, I couldn't find good doubles at all. I couldn't find good roti. But now, yeah.
There's a few places that's, yeah. No. I remember one time I had this whole thing about you trying to find proper hot sauce.
Yes, exactly. Pimentos.
Yes, I remember that.
My own pimentos, my front yard.
I saw that Farmer Dragon.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
I was like, look at that. Well, you know what? We're gonna get
Persons that can afford to move to Canada, like the top 1% earners back in their home country. Let's be real. Not everybody can afford to migrate.
Yep.
So these persons are usually highly educated, highly skilled, right? Highly experienced persons who are the top 10 to 1% earners in their home country. They're comfortable in most cases.
They don't have to leave.
They don't have to leave. They choose to leave. They have the option to leave, right?
Yeah.
So they are coming with their experience. They're coming with their education, right? So it is a risk. It is a risk, and you take that risk because you're hoping that the trade-off is safety. A big factor of coming to Canada is through safety.
Yep.
It's clean. It's a place that is lovely to raise kids, right? So that's why a lot of mothers would see that opportunity and they're willing to take that risk. They're willing to come here and pay more taxes and contribute and work because they want a place where the kids could grow up safe.
Yeah, but even if you say you go down that road and you've finally convinced your husband to come, and he's first off the plane, he's all excited, but doesn't that risk thought still linger in the mind of that person?
Oh yeah. I think a lot of immigrants, especially like within the first 5 years, consider moving back home. It's like, was this even worth it? Like, I'm stressed out. Especially, I think a big pivotal moment for most immigrants would be winter.
Okay, yeah.
Winter, your first winter.
Yeah.
Most people would land during summer because it's only obvious, right? But you see winter. It's cold. The sun sets really early. You're going through your first set of vitamin D deficiency. Yeah. That SAD really drops in. Depression drops in, especially if you're coming from somewhere like the Caribbean where we have sun 24/7.
Yeah.
We have sun every day.
5 o'clock in the morning, it's 80, 90 degrees. Yeah.
You're going to have a deep drop in enthusiasm and a willingness to live. Right?
Fair enough. Yeah.
Depression sets in.
Yeah.
I have never understood how important the sun is. And Alberta is really sunny, but you see that 4 o'clock.
It's not the same kind of.
It's different.
Yeah, like I was in Jamaica. Like you remember, I was home a month and a half ago.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, I was home, and the sun just hits different. Feels different. Everything about it. I was just like, I'm just soaking it all in.
Yeah, it feels so. That first winter is a big pivotal moment. I think all immigrants can testify that the thought of going back home is real fresh. It's real fresh. Yeah. But then you know what, you get over that hurdle, and then now winter is just something that happens in my mind, right? My kids absolutely love winter. I think my son told me the other day, "Oh, Mom, it's so hot. I can't wait for winter."
Oh no.
This child is Canadian, clearly. He's Canadian, clearly, right? He loves winter. He loves the cold. I've never heard my children say, I'm feeling cold. They love it, right?
Yeah.
So eventually it gets to be like home, to the point that I went back home to Trinidad about a month and a half ago as well, maybe 2 months ago for a funeral. Yeah. And I was so hot.
Were you?
And miserable.
Miserable?
Heated.
What?
Like, oh my God, I'm dying, right? I've gotten so used to the climate here.
Oh, wow. I loved it.
I felt so hot.
See, I was there, people were here sweating a lot. I'm like, you know what? I have had frost developing in these joints, and the sun is just letting it all out. In about 3 or 4 days, I ain't gonna be sweating the same way because right now I'm in defrost mode.
Yeah. No, I couldn't tolerate it at all. So I guess you do get used to it after a while, and little by little, kind of feels like home. Like I was home in Trinidad saying, oh yeah, I'm gonna come back home in a couple of days. You know? Yeah. So then you get to this strange point in your mind where yes, you're home, wherever you are, home is you have two homes.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, Canada and Edmonton feels like home now.
Feels like home now. And so I guess it just depends on everyone's situation in terms of how that transition happens. Because, I mean, I imagine it for a lot of men in particular. Like, if you're here and, you know, you're supporting your wife and she's studying, but you can't find a job or you can't... Because finding a job nowadays, it's a real battle for people. Like, I can imagine that for a lot of guys that come here, that's a huge mental hurdle to climb over. It's like, I can't earn money. I can't, like you said, the instinct to provide.
Yeah, and I think if you don't necessarily want to be here, it will make it even worse.
Yes.
Because you won't do the things that you need to do to get a job.
Yes.
Right? So back in the Caribbean, it's all about who knows who. And you would think that you come to Canada and it's different. You quickly realize it ain't that
Same situation, yeah.
But who knows who, and you're at a huge disadvantage because you know no one and no one knows you because you're new, right? So getting a job in most cases involves getting out and meeting people, talking to people, and making yourself known, right? For a lot of men, if you could lift something, if you could do some construction work, you'd be happy to find out that in Alberta especially, trades are
big. Yep.
Back in the Caribbean, tradesmen are looked down on. Here in Canada, tradesmen are put on a pedestal, rightfully so, right?
Yeah.
Rightfully so, you know? So I feel like a lot of us have some mental blocks towards doing jobs that are considered low in our home countries because we considered high jobs as you sitting in an office.
Oh, yes. Air conditioning.
As a teller.
Yes.
It's like, you made
yes. You
right?
At that point, nobody can talk to you.
Who can talk to you? You're a teller at a bank.
Yes.
You made it.
You're not even management.
No, you're a teller in a bank. You made it.
Yeah.
But in Canada, you're a construction worker. You made it.
Yeah.
You're probably making more money than the teller in the bank.
Definitely, yeah. Making
right?
more, yeah.
So there is a bit of a shift there in terms of what is a good job. Right? What is a good job? And then as well, sometimes as a newcomer, you're forced to do a survival job before you can get into your field, right?
Yeah.
So a survival job could be like a retail job. Again, in most countries, it looks down on. In Canada, no one cares. Once you're paying your bills, like no one cares.
Yeah.
Do what you need to do. So there is a shift, right? There's a shift. And it's a humbling thing. Especially if you're coming from being a top 1% earner to now working at Walmart. Ooh, the pride. The hurt to your pride is going to be...
It's a big hit.
It's a big hit to your ego, right? So there's a lot of adjustment happening there. I would say that persons who want to be here are more willing. Right? And I'm not saying that it's fair or justified in any way because 100% I believe that our international experience should be recognized.
Yes.
But it just isn't.
Yeah.
So moving comes like you're starting over from scratch.
Yes.
And it is humbling.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that persons who actually embrace that tend to get jobs quicker, settle quicker.
Yeah.
Rather than fighting it, you tend to take a longer time to get into your field and move up.
Yeah. Now, one of the things you just mentioned in terms of like the jobs and all that, what we've seen in the last 3-4 years, it's really ramped up really high, is this whole demonization of international students. And one of the things that people like to demagogue on is they're taking our jobs. And in your field, in your profession, like when you're speaking to clients that are coming here, if they bring something like that up, like what's the approach and how do you even handle that?
I think a lot of the concern about international students taking jobs comes from things that an international student has no control over. So, for example, an international student in most cases can only work part-time.
Yep. Well, guess what? We're going to take a little break, and we're going to hit it right after. It's nonsense.
It is. Because even in the case of, okay, we know that if you go to the ER right now, we can all see that ER is...
Need help. They need people.
We need help.
We need people.
Help us.
Yeah. I don't need to sit in here for 5-6 hours.
Right? Help us, please. We need help. Yet we have entire streams of immigration for healthcare workers. When they get here, they can't work.
Yeah.
Because they're internationally trained. So on a federal level, we know we need doctors, we need nurses, we need these people. Then when they get here on a provincial level, they can't work because they're not provincially certified. What are we doing here? We have doctors working in Walmart when the ER is
Empty.
struggling.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a huge disconnect, and I don't understand why we can't solve this problem quick enough. The powers that be doesn't seem to really fully maybe understand the dynamic, or maybe it's a lot of red tape to get these problems solved. But the problem isn't that the immigrants are coming and stealing our jobs. It's that we aren't giving them the jobs that they want or
True
stimulating the economy.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of immigrants turn to opening businesses. A lot of them, and they create jobs
Yeah.
for everybody else.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's almost like, oh, we have no housing for immigrants. Why can't we build houses quick enough? Oh, we need immigrants to build houses. So now let's open up a stream of immigration for trade workers. Well, okay.
Yeah.
Canada's overpopulated. Okay, how much people does Canada have? 40 million. That's almost the population size of Texas.
And we are nowhere near overpopulated.
Right? Like Texas has over 30 million people. The state of Texas only. What are we talking about?
Yeah.
Why can't we build schools and hospitals and houses quicker? So I think there is this kind of a loop of talking points where we can keep blaming the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, but until we actually get to the foundation of why aren't we able to grow the Canadian economy, why aren't we acknowledging international experience, why can't we solve this problem easily? For example, okay, you want a doctor to migrate, let's get them qualified before they migrate.
Yeah.
So as part of the immigration process, let's stick in a course in there. Do that in your home country. So when you land here, you're able to go straight to the hospital and work.
I don't think the political motivation is there for that, because, I mean, part of that puzzle too is I look at, say, the Tim Hortons of the world, and I'll pick on Tim Hortons because they do this, and there are these exemption programs for quote unquote skilled workers, and they use loopholes in that program to fill jobs at Tim Hortons serving coffee. And I'm like, that's not what that program was for. That program was for welders, tradesmen, farm workers to fill those roles, not pour coffee at Tim Hortons.
It's a lot that needs to be reformed.
Yeah.
I think any logical thinking person would understand that there's a need for immigration, just the economic benefits of bringing all this money in through immigrants.
Yeah.
But on a more foundational level, if we plan to compete with the U.S. of the world, with the with all of these first world countries, and we really plan to seriously compete, not just position ourselves to benefit, right, by proximity, but really compete, we need to use all of the tools in our toolbox. We can't have this tool just there sitting down, it's like, oh, it looks good and shiny, let's just leave it there.
And then
that's
when
what we're doing
up,
when we're not putting immigrants to work.
Yeah, and then when it sees up and you can't use it when you need it, then...
Like, if we really are trying to compete, if Canada is really trying to be the best and we're trying to compete, we need to use these skilled people.
Well, that's true.
Right? And if you don't use them, you would lose them.
Now, we're like 10 to the hour. If someone's thinking about coming here as an international student, what are, 3 to 5 things that you would advise them to look into, to do or not do, to consider when making that decision to come here as an international student?
First of all, go download UpRow.
Okay.
UpRow. Go to the App Store and download UpRow. I would say getting an apartment is the first thing. So go to the housing tab and book a $25 call with a settlement service provider. Let's talk about what are you actually going to do when you get here. Those calls, I think, are crucial because you're not just looking at apartment acquisition, but you're looking at, okay, would your phone work?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Most basics, how are you getting from the airports? The things that you would not think of, they are going to cover it with you, right? So it's a nice introductory call to what are you going to be doing within the first 24, 48 hours after landing here. Who are you going to bank with? How do you know where you get your SIN number? Don't give your SIN number to anyone, right?
Yeah.
Like the do's and don'ts of how not to get scammed as a newcomer in Canada, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's a really crucial call. I would start there. As an international student, I would also lean heavily on my school. Like, use the school resources. Everything that the school has for free, just tap into it, right? And thirdly, I would look to get in touch with my community. Right? The community support is going to be crucial for those non-tangible supports, like just someone to talk to, someone to lean on, someone to stop you from jumping off the cliff, right? When you're ready to jump off, like, no, Gil, don't come. Let's go hang out, right? And then lastly, I would say, when you get settled and you're here and you found a community, don't just stick to your community, right? Life in Canada gets best when you really assimilate and adjust and weave into the fabric of what it means to be a Canadian, right? So sticking to your community is great for support, but also try to venture out. Learn about other people's culture.
Yeah.
Learn a new language. If you speak English, learn to speak French, right? If you speak French, learn to speak English. If you're not a native English or French speaker, learn to speak English, right? It's going to help with communication. It's going to help you to adjust to life in Canada, right? Don't just say, oh, this is how we do it back home. Well, no, you're not back home. You chose to come here, right? So let's learn about how we do it here, right? So learn about other people's culture. It gets best when you really weave your culture into the fabric of what it means to be Canadian. Yeah.
Cool. Now, I know it's been a minute since, like, we haven't spoken much in the last little bit.
Yeah.
Now, is there anything new and fresh happening that you want listeners to know about UpRow that's coming up in the next 6-7 months?
Oh yeah, so we are doing so much at UpRow. Our new feature that we recently launched, well, earlier this year, is the Communities tab. So in our Communities tab, you can go join a community. It allows you to connect with persons organically in there. This month, we're having a village fete for Caribbean immigrants in Canada, right? And then from there, we plan to have different communities. So Nigerian in Canada, Filipino in Canada, right? And that's like the most exciting thing happening. We're actually going back to the basics of what UpRow is, which is connecting people, right? Super, super excited about that. We're also launching some new projects in terms of helping newcomers to plan financially for success.
Okay.
Right? A lot of newcomers have big dreams and big hopes. You know, me, myself, I sold a house back home to come here. So when I came here, my number one priority was to get a house, right?
Yeah.
Within 22 months, I was able to buy my first home, but a lot of immigrants struggle to get over that hurdle of owning a home in Canada. So we're helping them to get over those hurdles as well and plan for success, not just surviving, but thriving in Canada. And yeah, I'm super excited about where we're heading at in
Cool.
UpRow.
Well, hey, let me drop one of these lovely little thingies here for UpRow. Awesome. Well, hey, listen, that has been part 3 of our series on the international student experience. I'd like to thank Alana and Ajibola for coming in the first 2 weeks and giving us that student perspective. Thank you to the Mother of Dragons for coming in and giving us that context from that professional point of view. And hopefully we get to see you in here again. You don't wait. Don't make it be over a year before you get back in here.
You know what? That's true. Let's not do that.
Let's not do that.
Let's not
do that.
Let's do this more often.
That's right. The Mother of Dragons is a brand that was, I mean, I gave you that name here
That is
live
true.
on air.
That is true. You gave me that
That's
name.
right. Right. And I do refer to the Mother of Dragons on, quite often on the show. And people are like, where is the Mother of Dragons? I don't know. Maybe she's off to Westeros. I don't know. But like to thank you for coming in, riding with us. We're going to take you out with a little bit of a, where'd my Spotify go? Yep, there it is. Like I said, we are on the countdown to Carrie West in a few weeks. So we're going to play a lot of soca in here. Yes, I'm Jamaican. Don't at me for that. Just enjoy the music. Until then, we're going to take you out with a little bit of lyrical, happy place. This has been Let's Unpack That. I will be back on Friday with Special K with the next 48. Of course, next Saturday, my Saturday partner in crime, Danny, will be here with the Weekend Morning Show. And we've got Samantha in the house from Carrie West. And the fire starter herself, Latoya, and Ulrich will be back here next Sunday for Let's Unpack That. They actually went and raided my mom's mango tree twice on their trip to Jamaica. So I want to hear, 1, they better have some mango for me. 2, we will unpack more about their trip. Till then, y'all, enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the Sunday. Ciao.